Um, I some of the stuff I'm going to talk about, I think I talked about in some of the morning meetings that we had while we were on the train more. So, a little bit of review possibly, but I could kind of go into like how the week panned out, the groups, business owners, right? Like I I I keep thinking it's funny that I'll be sitting there on a Thursday or a Friday morning, not sure exactly how this Eagle is going to pan out. And but it just, it's gotten to it's happened so many times that I should recognize it as a feature more than, more than just something that happens against my will, but it's just something that's going to happen. Um, but I want to talk a little bit about the fact that, um, guys, I've been on a lot of train moors where I didn't eagle. Like there's been a lot of train moors where I didn't sell 10,000, maybe even like barely got on the board. Never had a train more where I zeroed out. That's not happened, but I've definitely had ones where either barely missed the eagle, barely sold 5,000, 6,000, and then several where I just protected a couple families and maybe was only like uh sold like 1,100 or something like that, right? So, but I'm going to try to explain a little bit to you guys because that most every single time I don't eagle on a train more, I can walk my steps back on the week and realize where my attitude and my belief went wrong, and I never course corrected it. I was never able to course correct it. So, um, I want to talk a little bit about that because I I'm not going to tell you where I think it all stems from, but I'll tell you at the end where I think that all stems from. But I got a few stories to tell you along the way. Um, so strap in, strap in. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. But I want to talk about a movie. Um, Not sure if any of you have seen this movie, and hopefully I don't spoil too much when telling you about this movie. But I watched a video online where a guy was talking about the Truman Show, with Jim Carrey, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Truman Show. And if you don't know the story of the Truman Show, Jim Carrey is a character that from birth was born, and they and he is a show where they take him and they just publicize his life. It's just a TV show of him. His life is publicized to the world. And he literally, it's kind of wild, but he's literally a baby from birth owned by a corporation. And he is the star of the Truman Show, and everybody watches it. And throughout the film, you see clips of people in their living rooms, watching the Truman Show. Now, what's wild about this is it was filmed in '98, I think, and never in a million years did these filmmakers think that we were going to have a literal ecosystem built on people publicizing their own personal lives. So these guys were on to something, and they knew something was up. And the fact that it happened before the advent of social media is kind of wild. But in this film, there's the show runner is interviewed, and one of this question is put to the showrunner, and he says, basically there are no walls. Truman's on an island, and there are no walls to keep Truman on this island. There's no bars. The the there's two things. There's two things. One, when Christof is asked about that, he says, ultimately, Truman prefers his cell. So just think about that for a second. Truman, this character, prefers the cage. And this is an old mythology, really. Plato's cave literally has people. They're seeing the world through they can't see outside this cave, but they're seeing a different kind of world. And because of fear, none of them will leave the cave. First they're chained, then they just won't leave. They choose not to leave. So two things. He prefers his cage, and fear keeps him there. He prefers his cage, and fear keeps him in his cell. You throughout the film, you learn these things that they did that would make him fear the water, so that he would never leave the island. And I want to bring this back to, guys, every time I haven't eagled on a train more, I can look back on the program that I ascribed to in that week, and I'll know that it was because of fear. Fear either petrified me, fear creeped in. No one will ever buy another policy from me ever again, right? Those things getting in your head, that fear getting in your head. Truman, he sees holes in the system and begins to realize he's in a cage. And before he gets out of, let me rephrase that, because some people may have not seen it, but let me just say he's about to get out, and the showrunner comes over a big voice, and he can't see him, but he just hears his voice, and literally it's kind of an interesting thing where he kind of claims that he's his creator, blah, blah, blah. It's a little interesting. But what does he do? The one thing he does to try to keep Truman inside of his cage is he brings up fear. Truman, it's scary out there. That's a world you don't know. It's scary. Guys, I quit a 9-to-5 job, a steady paycheck, to come here, right? There is nothing steady about what we do. I can't just clock in and clock out. I have to be a better version of myself all the time in order to make that cell, to write that eagle, to be the better version of myself, the version that doesn't fear, the version that doesn't let fear creep in. Moving from Truman Show, I think there is a even greater story that culminates what the Truman Show was kind of showing. And that is a story that's been heavy on my heart for probably a couple years now, but definitely more recently in the last few months. And that is the story of Jesus walking on water and Peter coming out and walking on the water with him. There's like, let's put aside, right, whether true or not, right? Did it actually happen or not? Let's just talk about the story of it happening. And it's an old story, and it's built in it nations have been built with this story in a book that has built and outlasted nations, right? So let's talk about just the story. Well, these are Jews, right, that came out of Egypt. And when the Israelites came out of Egypt, they didn't walk on the water to cross the Red Sea. It was parted and they walked on sand, right? So there's another something higher. There's a little something higher in this story. Jesus is walking on the water. And not it's not just that Jesus, the God, a God, is walking on water. He invites the man to walk on water with him. The man, the person. We're all people. We're just people. We're just trying to figure it. We're out here. We're trying to figure this out, right? We're trying to figure this shit out. it's all crazy, right? And he invites him out on the water. The man walks on water with his God. But what brings an end to it? What brings an end to it? He looks around and he fears. The fear creeps in and he sinks. Every time I have not eagled, I can look back on my week, and most of the time I can pinpoint the one moment I allowed fear to creep in. And then I resonated on that fear. And the fear kept permeating through my mind, and it kept coming back, and I kept thinking, I kept allowing the fear to kill my faith that something good was around the corner. Guys, I was 4,000, I think, about 3,000, 4,000 away from an eagle. Friday night at 5:00. Who the hell is going to buy $3,500 in Gap from me at 5:00 on a Friday evening? No idea. I don't know. But I talked to the next guy and he said no. And I talked to the next guy and he said no. And I still was out there and I didn't know how it was going to happen. But finally I walk into a business, talk to who I thought was the business owner, show it to him. I got to talk to my wife. Oh boy. And let me tell you guys, as demos go for that week, that was my best demo of the week. I had stories from the community. I brought names from the community. I brought people who had bought from me in the community, people who've been my client for years in the community, people he knew, people that were, I brought it into the demo. I brought what this could mean for them, for him and his family. They're traveling this weekend. It could mean this for you. It could mean that for you, right? It was perfect. And he said no. I think I might have rebutted once or twice. I can't remember. Tried. All right, well, there's another guy out there in the shop. I thought it was his employee. So I asked if I could go show it to him. Sit down. Guess what? This was my best demo of the week up to this point. Best demo, names, stories from the community, people who blah, 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 like people who have used it, some people I'd helped in the community. And he looks at it and he's like, can't we just run it through the business? I mean, me and him are 50-50 business partners. Yeah, we can. In fact, all my business owners do it. We go out, we have a little powwow with the other guy. Both of them decide, yeah, let's run it through the business. And in fact, the guy that said he had to wait and talk to his wife, he's like, actually, if we're going to run it through the business, yeah, I'll just do it. There's my 3,500, right? And Devin and I both could tell you other stories where, I mean, I've told this story on the train more. I was sitting at a bar. I had to one last gal to see. I had an appointment with her. It was Friday night. Everything was busy, but I just kind of let it go, let the fear go. I was at 9,000. I had $1,000 to sell. And this is 6:00 on a Friday night. But I let the fear go and then started BSing with the guy that was next to me. We just chilling, bros, just chatting, having a good time. Made him laugh. He made me laugh. We laughed. The gal comes up. Sorry, okay, now I can take my break. Oh, I see that you've met my husband. But I had to let the fear go. The fear had to be let go. There's another part of the story. Peter is sinking. And he cries out, God save me. Lord, save me. And Jesus grabs him and says, why did you doubt? Why did you doubt? Guys, we're all in some way, shape, or form in a prison. There are invisible prison bars all around us. You know, I had to quit that 9 to 5. I had a leap of faith to come and do a crazy job in sales. Right? But the adventure of going into that scary, fearful unknown, when the showrunner tells Truman, stay here, it's safe. If you go out there, it's scary. People use fear to keep you in the cave. And fear will ruin your cells. The number one message to humans in the Bible is fear not. Be not afraid. Or be of good cheer. And that's all I got.
Dang. I got lots of ideas. I want to hear what everybody else has to say first, though. Questions, comments?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, shoot, if no one else is going to go. That was insane, Michael.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Congrats. But yeah, fear, it resonates so deeply. it's not real. There's no bear that's about to bite you.
The part that really gets me, and like I studied this once, and one guy talks about it, is like if you look at most ancient texts, whether it's the Bible or not Aesop's fables, but the other ones, the ones that came over from Germany, the kid stories, water almost always represents consciousness of some sort, right? It's like if you look at it, it's like why do we care that, this frog was in the water or something like that in these stories? And it's like it always represents like the way people think and kind of what's holding them back. And I think that that's such a good analogy of like there is most of the constraints on ourself are self-imposed. And I've told this story before, but it's like my first 2 years, I had this like little, really my first 3 years, I had this little Seabiscuit problem where I'd almost hold myself back from being a top producer most of the year. And then in quarter 4, I'd turn it up and be the number one in the agency. And then until somebody pointed out to me, it's like, do you just like, you have this psychological problem inside your head where you like almost like, it's almost like you can't not win. And then you have to have this dramatic victory. And it's like, why is that? And then I look at my life, I'm like, huh, I went pretty much undefeated in 2A wrestling. And then at regionals, I lost to a kid and later came back and beat him at state. And is it just because I watched way too many, you know, Remember the Titans and, A Knight's Tale movies where like there was a dramatic victory that I just like it was just in my head that that was the way it's supposed to be, and I didn't have to lose to win. I could just let myself win, right? And so sometimes these self-imposed beliefs, they can stick there for a long time until you realize this is this I got like Michael said, I got some sort of fear around this idea. And breaking free from that is going to make you so much more effective as a person, as a parent, as a spouse, and also as a salesperson. So yeah, this is awesome.
I wanted to thank you, Michael. That was very powerful, very, very powerful, and especially the part where Peter says, "Lord, save me." You know, when we feel that, when we feel the fear out in the field, we need to stop it somehow. And maybe it's saying that, "Lord, save me," and help me to get past this, and then don't, let go of the doubt, let go of that. That's very powerful. Thank you.
I the part that stuck out to me the most in this is, and part that stuck out to me the most is the part where Peter's already walking on the water, like he's doing the thing, and it's funny because you can be doing the thing for a while. And it's crazy that after you're doing it and it's working and you look around and you're like, wait, this is working. It shouldn't be working. And the doubt gets in. And it's like crazy because I think no matter, yeah, I don't know. Um, I just always thinking that, you know, it's why did Peter, after having walked as far as he did, why did the next step be like, why is this working? And he starts sinking. It's like it's this weird thing that you catch yourself doing where you're like, wait, this isn't supposed to work this good, so I'm just gonna start doubting and not believing. So
Yeah.
You see that a lot when you get on the leadership side of this. You'll see a new agent come in and they'll have an amazing week. They'll get a quick start bonus. They'll have a great month. And then all of a sudden, like the next week or the next month, it'll be like one of their worst. And it's literally what you just said. It's almost like things are too good and your brain will self-sabotage and say like, oh no, like this is scary to be doing this good. And your brain will purposely fear you, hold you back, to make it so that way you pull back on that and you have to like break through that. And I've seen people come in and make more in a month or even a quarter of a year than they made in a year at the previous job. And then all of a sudden they'll and maybe they're even working the same hours. And, it's like, wait, did you just get worse at your sales process? And it's like, no, it usually is this mental thing of like, it's fear. It was working. You were walking on the water and it was happening. And then you're just like, this can't be right. Yeah, you see that a lot. First step is to recognize it. Next step is to mentally get past that. I just sent another agent a whole bunch of things where Tony Robbins talks about doing incantations versus positive affirmations. It works.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Sweet. It
Appreciate
was
y'all.
awesome. I'm so glad we decided to record this. And I'm gonna send this out to everybody. This will probably even go on the YouTube channel and get a chance to edit a little bit.
Oh, do it. Yeah. Let me know when you got it on the YouTube channel, because then I can share it with some of my peeps.
Let's do it.
All right.
You guys have a great Friday. Finish strong Friday. Let's make some big things happen. And yeah, best dare to not confund them, right, Nathan? Like Latin or something for "don't let the bastards get you" is how people used to greet each other back in the day.
Absolutely.
All right. You guys have a good one.